Oh boy, Resident Evil 4. This is a big one. It's crazy to me this game is already 20 years old, and I just want to talk about how I think the game has aged in 20 years based on gameplay, graphics, overall controls, the story, because there's been a whole fleet of games in the last 20 years, including this game's very own remake in 2023. So I just want to see how it stacks up after all this time. Starting off with the gameplay, which is arguably the most important part of a game, because why are you going to play if it's not fun? Resident Evil 4's gameplay has aged like a fine wine. Everything just feels powerful, and there's more of a threat in this game when you're in gameplay, because you're not just fighting slow, dumb zombies anymore. You're fighting people. Like, they can throw weapons at you later on in the game. They can use firearms against you. When you're in the village section, they have an enemy that has a chainsaw who will cut your head off if you're not fast enough. In the castle, there's cultists with crossbows and people that can like spit fire at you. So there's really a sense of urgency in the game's gameplay, which has not been lost throughout time, which each re-release of the game. The sound design in this game, absolutely incredible. I'm going to play a quick clip of me firing some of the weapons so you can get a feel for that, and then some like background surrounding noise so you can see what that's like. All of those guns really have a presence around them. The shotgun feels like strong and powerful, but you know it's going to be a little bit slower. The TMP, very, very fast, but you can tell those bullets sound like pea shooters. They're not going to do much. And the pistols is a good mix in between where, you know, they really have that like effective like noise to them, but they're not going to be as strong as the shotgun. And then you just have that sniper that's just like ding, and you get that very nice ping each time a shell ejects. So that's kind of like my thoughts on the guns, where they all feel different to use. And then as for the other sound design, which is like the crashing waves and the thunder and all that and the rain, that also adds to like the eeriness of this game, because Resident Evil 4 is still a horror game. However, it may be, you know, action horror, there is still a horror element to it, and just adding that, like just adding the effects and stuff, it really adds to that, like, oh man, something bad's like going down here. And I think they being Capcom, I think they just knocked the ball out of the park with that. Now, I've been very, very nice to this game, but it's time for me to be a little bit mean. And this is when we're going to talk about the controls. And I need to say something. The controls for the PC version of this game are fucking awful. They are abhorrent. I don't know if you've seen me, like while watching the gameplay, if you've seen me, like, stutter, like, a little bit, or I make like a weird maneuver, or Leon just like kind of stops short. But the controls for the PC version of this game are god awful. I don't know what it is about them. I know Capcom did not have the greatest track record with making PC ports for some of these games, but this is just really bad sometimes. However, I will say the console versions, and this game was a console game to begin with, are very solid, and they do hold up very well. But the PC version of this game is very confusing sometimes, and when you're in the inventory screen, to rotate items is a delete key. I don't know why, but God, they're just terrible sometimes. And other times they shine, and it's amazing. But I need to really say that, because as much as I love this game, there are some flaws with it, and the controls is probably one of the biggest blunders of the PC version. Granted, these are solid when you play console, but I'm reviewing the PC version for this, and I needed to say that. For the record, I do know that this game does run off of tank controls, so that might be why it feels a little odd. I can play the tank controls in the classic Resident Evil games, no issue. But I think what trips me up with this is the fact that, at least playing on PC for some reason, because I don't like the PC controls, is the fact that because the camera is always behind Leon, and when he aims, it's over his right shoulder, like modern day gaming, but then the controls aren't with like modern day gaming, like there's no such thing as strafing and all that. It just feels a little out of place, and they feel a little dated to today's standards. But once you get into the swing of things, you can start playing like there's no issue. You're just flying through, you're not, you know, dinging on anything. So that may have just been my experience with it, but I did want to speak about my thoughts on the controls, however. So, talking about the graphics of this is going to be a little interesting, as I don't have access to my PS2 or GameCube or any of my older systems as of right now, which is the really big noticeable difference. So you can tell the difference between the PC version and the GameCube copy. And the PS4 version of the game is the exact same as the PC. It looks the exact same, so there would be no way to tell a difference between it. So I can't really talk about the graphics as much, but what I can say though is the Ultimate HD version is almost 11 years old. It dropped in February 27th of 2014. So this port alone is over 10 years, almost 11 years old, and it looks fantastic. I don't know what Capcom did. I don't know how they made the game, but somehow being able to make an HD remaster of a game look brand new 11 years later is crazy to me. So I give them props to that. Next up, the story. Leon, however, gives a pretty good monologue, which is the overall premise of the game. So I want to let him tell it, and then I'll elaborate on it later on for missing details.
1998. I'll never forget it. It was the year when those grisly murders occurred in the Arklay Mountains. Soon after, the news was out to the whole world, revealing that it was the fault of a secret viral experiment conducted by the international pharmaceutical enterprise, Umbrella. The virus broke out in a nearby mountain community, Raccoon City, and hit the peaceful little town with a devastating blow crippling its very foundation. Not taking any chances, the President of the United States ordered a contingency plan to sterilize Raccoon City. With the whole affair gone public, the United States government issued an indefinite suspension of business decree to Umbrella. Soon its stock prices crashed, and for all intents and purposes, Umbrella was finished. Six years have passed since that horrendous incident. I received special training via a secret organization working under the direct control of the president. I was to assume the responsibility of protecting the new president's family.
So, as Leon said, he's here on a secret mission under the president's orders, as his daughter, Ashley Graham, went missing. So Leon is in this remote village in the middle of Spain, trying to find out where Ashley is and keep her safe until they can get rescue to get the hell off of this country. I don't know why I said that like they're on an island. But things aren't going to go exactly how he wants, and Leon's soon going to realize he's basically going to have another Raccoon City on his hands. However, I don't want to go super far into the story, because I would like anybody who hasn't experienced Resident Evil 4's story yet to be able to experience it for the first time. Because there's nothing quite like a first playthrough of a Resident Evil game, not knowing what's going to happen in the story, and everything being a shock. And I don't want to spoil it. This game may be 20 years old, but there's some people who are just now getting into the series, and I don't want to spoil it in case they see this video. Also, side note, Leon just killed that guy, by the way. Yes, he seemed aggressive and he was armed. Leon broke into his house, was speaking a language he didn't understand. The man tells him to get out of his house, and then when he doesn't, the man arms himself and tries to fend off Leon, and Leon fucking shoots him and kills him. He just committed murder for no real reason, technically, at the start of the game. It's not until after he's like, oh yeah, there's monsters and everything. But he just blasted that guy, and then they're just like, no big deal. Leon's a murderer. After murdering a completely innocent man in cold blood, Leon goes outside, saves a dog, and makes his way to the town village, which is arguably this game's most memorable moment. This is what everybody remembers from this game, and it gave birth to the most iconic line in Resident Evil history.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
He said it! He said it!
Since we're going over little lines here and there, I think this is a good segue into talking about the characters and what makes them so memorable, because if one thing this game has to go for it is how memorable the characters are. If we start with the title character and the main character, Leon, he has a lot of charisma and he kind of acts like an action star, which is really good for a game like this. The remake, they made him more like realistic and showed how Raccoon City like affected him. This, it doesn't really have that, but this game is very like campy, so it lends itself well, and he acts like a true action hero, which I kind of like. And he has some pretty funny moments later on and just throughout the game, because he doesn't really take anything all that serious, even though, you know, when you're fighting a cult that can control people and that you're basically fighting monsters all the time, you should probably be serious. It's just his complete lack of seriousness that really makes him like a standout character and makes Leon so likable in the original. I already showed the "Where's Everybody Going" bingo line, so I'm gonna play a couple of my other favorite like dumb things he says in the game just to get that point across. He's so goofy.
No thanks, bro.
Sounds more like an alien invasion if you ask me. Hey, it's that dog.
However, when Leon needs to be serious, he really can, and this is a prime example of that.
Leon, I think they shot something in my neck.
What did you do to her?
It's just things like this that make Leon such a great character in this game and make him stand out and such a lovable and memorable protagonist. Starting with the man sitting right beside Leon here, this is Luis Serra. He is more of a minor character. He doesn't play such a huge role in the game. They gave him a more expanded story in the remake. That was something the remake did a lot, which expand upon characters, which is always nice. But Luis is very likable because he's very much a comedy like relief character. Like, a lot of the things he says are goofy, but at the same time he has like a mysterious, like slightly dark past, and he's trying to redeem himself or something that the game does not make blatantly clear until the end. But overall, very good character, and I like him a lot. Well, I can't be talking about Resident Evil 4 characters and not mention Ashley. She's the catalyst. She's the kickstarting event of the game. Like, her getting kidnapped is what sends Leon to Spain to go save her. People think that she's super annoying, and honestly, she's not that bad. Are her voice lines annoying sometimes? Like the constant, "Help me, Leon." Absolutely. It'll be a cold day in hell before I forget how aggravating she was to me in my first playthrough. But after all this time, she's really not that bad. It might be more just the people that think that, like, oh my god, she's there the entire game. But really, she's not. Most of the game, Leon's by himself. He doesn't do a very great job of, you know, keeping her safe. She gets kidnapped, like, 6 times throughout the story, like, after you already saved her the first time. So, you know, there's that. But she's really not that bad. And honestly, kind of seeing her and Leon, like, bond throughout the game is really wholesome, and I like that dynamic. And obviously, still in this train of talking about characters, you can't have a good story without good villains. And I want to talk about 2 more characters, and then we're going to wrap up the character section here. The first of the 2 major villains that you meet in the game is this little shit right here, Salazar. He acts like a child while committing the most heinous acts possible and constantly messing with Leon and, you know, almost getting him killed, which, you know, it's the role of a villain and all that. But I find him much more memorable than Osmond Saddler, who is the true main villain of RE4. He's the one that makes Ashley get kidnapped and all that stuff. And through all that, I just find Salazar the better character, and he's a lot more entertaining, and him and Leon's back and forths are just kind of funny, which, again, this is not a full-blown horror game. It's like got that comedy, but that's my thoughts on Salazar. I like him a lot, and I find him more memorable than Saddler. Then there's the big bad of the game, Osmond Saddler, who, honestly, I didn't find him all that memorable. Like, yeah, he's a lot more intimidating and he's much more looming than Salazar, but he's not in the game enough. Like, Salazar and Leon have constant back and forth, and Salazar talks to Leon throughout the castle. Versus Sadler, you meet him once in the church. There's a time where he takes over Leon's, like, walkie-talkie, like, radio thingy, and he mocks him through there. And then I'm pretty sure it's just at the end of the game, like, when he's, like, the final boss. So he's not in the game enough to really have, like, a huge, like, thing. He's just kind of in the background. He's got, like, a couple cutscenes. But I will say his presence is a lot darker and a lot grittier than Salazar. And for that reason, like, he's alright, I guess. But I just never found him as memorable as I did Salazar. And that's all I really have to say on what should be the big bad of the game, I guess. Now, for the last almost 16 minutes at this point, I've been talking about my favorite parts of the game. We've gone over the characters, a very, very minuscule amount of the story, the graphics, just the overall gameplay. Now, why exactly did I make this video? Because, well, the game's 20 years old, and the Resident Evil series holds a very special place in my heart. I've played pretty much every single mainline entry, including 6. And 6 is pretty goddamn trash. But, like, I just love the series to death. I clocked in all of my time on just my PlayStation a couple days ago. I'm just under 1,000 hours across all games. I think I'm at like 977 or something like that. But regardless, I love these games. I will always love them. I'm always going to get them on release day. And I will play them nonstop until I get the Platinum Trophy and 100% it. That's kind of what I do with these. I have all of them 100% and Platinumed. And Resident Evil 4 is no exception. This game is a huge, huge, huge part of gaming history. There are so many games that were inspired by the gameplay of this, especially with the over-the-shoulder aiming. That became a huge staple in third-person shooters from 2004 to now, basically. And the fact that Capcom was able to reinvent themselves with the Resident Evil 4 remake and it being just as great, if not better, than the original, proves just how timeless this game is. It holds up exceptionally well. It's important to gaming history, and it's just amazing. And I wanted to give my thoughts on it because I love the series so much. I love this game so much. In fact, I actually made a new playthrough while starting this, and I was kind of thinking about abandoning it, but no, I'm going to finish my playthrough that I made specifically for this video because I didn't show everything in it. And I need to say my thoughts on the game because of how much I love it. It's important, and hell, the game turned 20 years old, and I'm a gaming review channel. I gotta talk about Resident Evil 4. That's really that. Now, if any of you have made it to this point in the video, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I know I took like a month absent and just didn't say anything, which is really, really not good. I should have posted something either on my community tab or, you know, posted the video. But truth be told, honestly, I got stuck into GTA 5 for like a week, and then I got busy with the holidays, and I just didn't have any time. And this video was actually supposed to be on Saturday on the proper 20th anniversary, but it wasn't done by then, and I didn't want to rush the video. I wanted to get a few more days to, you know, cook, I guess. And I just wanted to try to make it the best I can. I think I'm getting better with each video that I do, so if I am, let me know. But that's gonna do it for my review on Resident Evil 4. Look out for my Resident Evil 7 video that's gonna be dropping in hopefully like a week or so, because that game turns what 8 this year, which hurts my brain a little bit. And then I also want to do a Resident Evil 2 remake video. I want to do some stuff on Red Dead later on in the year. I'm going to do a Fallout video at some point. So I have a lot of video ideas brewing that I just want to, you know, get out there. So that being said, hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. That's all for now. Bye-bye.